Go back to the early days when you first came and you lived in this flat with the toilet in the street and the coal stove. Did you go right to work then, and your mother? Do you remember about your first job, how you got it?
Well, we got here in May, and a cousin of mine who worked for the Triangle Shirtwaist Company. And by the time she got me in there was October. So between May and October, I did various jobs off and on, you know. But in October, she got me to the Triangle Shirtwaist Company.
Do you remember your first impression of going in there?
Of the Triangle Shirtwaist Company, you don't forget a situation of that kind, because it was one, in the first place, it was probably the largest shirtwaist factory in the city of New York. By the time I got there, they had something like more than 200 operators. Then you had cutters, examiners, finishers. Altogether, probably they had about 400 people, and that was a large shop. And they had 2 floors. The fires took place on one floor, and we started work at 7:30, and during the busy season, we worked until 9 o'clock in the evening. They didn't pay any overtime, and didn't give you anything for supper money. At times, they would give you, in those days, the bakeries had a little apple pie, not very much bigger than this, and they would give you that for your supper. Very generous.
A small child then, like you, would go in and work all day with that. And
work until you got the regular pay from 6 to 9.
Yes.
No overtime.
My goodness. And what did they pay you?
And what they did, as I said at times, they were generous in giving you the little apple pie. You know? The wage scales, again, you forget nothing. As long as your memory still serves, and mine does. My own wages when I got to the Triangle Shirtwaist Company was $1.50 a week.
Per hour,
and by the time I left during the shirtwaist making strike in 1909, I had worked myself up to $6.
Oh, magnificent.
But you see, hours didn't change. The hours remained, no matter how much you got. The operators, daily average wages I recall, because 2 of my sisters worked there, they averaged around $6, $7 a week. If you were very fast, because it was piecework, if you were very fast and nothing happened to the machine, no breakage or anything, you could make around $10 a week. But most of them, as I remember, and I do remember them very well, they averaged about $7 a week or so. Now the cutters are the skilled men in the trade. $12 was the maximum.
And that was piecework also.
That was considered well paid, $12 a week.
And how about what you did? What did you do for your...
Well, what I did really was not difficult, or when you finish the shirtwaist of the machine, there's some thread that are left. And I wasn't the only one, because we had a corner on the floor that resembled a kindergarten. We were all youngsters. And we were given little scissors to cut the thread off, that's all. Now, it wasn't heavy work. It was monotonous. Because you did that from 7:30 until 9 o'clock at night. You had 1/2 hour for lunch, and nothing for supper or anything like that. Before I left, I was promoted to the cutting department and cut embroidery, which was inserted in the front of the shirtwaist in those days. And then, of course, they were the kind of employers who didn't recognize anyone working for them as a human being. You were not allowed to sing.
Really?
Operators would like to have sung because they too had the same thing to do, and weren't allowed to sing. You were not allowed to talk to each other. Oh no, they would sneak up behind you, and if you were found talking to your next colleague, you were admonished. If you keep on, you'll be fired. If you went to the toilet and you were there more than the forelady or foreman thought you should be, you were threatened to be laid off for half a day and sent home. And that meant, of course, no pay, You were not allowed to use the passenger elevator. You only used the freight elevator. And you were watched every minute of the day by the foreman, poor lady, employers would sneak behind your back, and you were not allowed to have your lunch on the fire escape in the summer time. That door was locked, and that was proved during the investigation of the fire. They were mean people. There were two partners, Blank and Harris, and one was worse than the other. People were afraid, actually. And finally, it took, from the time I got there in October 1901 to November 1999 for the people to really rise and proclaim that they cannot work under such condition any longer, and you had 20,000 of them coming on. Here, 15,000 in Philadelphia, And that lasted, or strike lasted from November to 1909 to the end of March 1910.
That must have been very hard on the workers to get along without...
The coldest winter anyone could remember, and my particular assignment took me to the coldest part of the state of New York. I was assigned to go to Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse to collect money.